We now welcome on very special guest Jake Fraley, America's team, the Seattle Mariners. Thank you very much, Jake, for joining us.
No problem. I'm excited. Thank you for having me.
So I want to just start. Like, at what age did you know you were like, all right, this baseball is what I want to do forever. This is what I want to do. It's what I've been doing. I love baseball. I'm going to be a pro baseball player.
Um, well, obviously, I've been playing baseball just like any other kid. Well, majority of kids. Since I was little, I started when I was 5. Um, from there, got into the All Stars and all that with the rec league, and obviously at that point, I started realizing, I really like this. I'm probably gonna want to play baseball once I get to high school, and the next step was travel ball, and then once I got to travel ball was when kind of things started getting a little more serious because that's when you start getting into the the showcases and the tournaments with teams that are inviting you to come across country and play and all that. And from there was probably when I started getting like super serious with this is something that I think I could do. I'm pretty good at it. And then from there, I got to my freshman year of high school, and I started getting recruiting letters, and that was kind of like the standpoint of like, okay, I got a legit shot at this.
Yeah, I was looking at your Wikipedia and I saw that you hit 536 as a junior in high school.
Yeah.
When you hit 536, like, does the pitcher bother throwing you the ball at that point? I mean, do you just walk up and take first?
No, I mean, granted, you got to remember too. I grew up in the Northeast, so unfortunately, and it's no knack on anybody up there, but it's just the way it is because how competitive baseball is around the country. Northeast really isn't that competitive when it comes to high school baseball. You got your scattered guys, right? You got your scattered teams that are pretty good, but for the most part, the competition wasn't entirely that great. But the travel ball that I did and the showcases I played with and the teams that I played with around the country that were inviting me to play with them, those summers were, elite competition. I mean, you're facing, very good guys. And so that was kind of like a big, prepper for getting, obviously going into high school, but also getting ready to go into college after I committed. And then, after that summer was over, you'd come back and play high school ball, right? In Northeast, I think the season would always start around the end of March. And I was already locked and loaded and ready to go at that point.
Jake, I will kind of piggybacking off that growing up playing baseball. Was there a player, maybe a couple players that you watched and that maybe you idolized or you tried to model your game after?
Yeah, so I'm a believer. So growing up, and granted, I understand as well as I'm sure most people do, the story that kind of backs this player that I followed, in Josh Hamilton, and obviously his struggles. But when he went through, I think it was a good stage there for maybe close, if not 10 years, damn near close to 10 years of. He was very outspoken about his faith and his walk with Jesus while he was playing in Texas. And then I'm not really sure if he was very adamant when he was with Anaheim. But, he was very outspoken about it. And that was something that obviously, like I said, I'm a believer in Jesus. So it's something that is absolutely everything to me. It's bigger than baseball. But understanding that, being placed – each of us being placed in the spots that the Lord puts us in and surrounds us with the people that he surrounds us with, that is your sphere of influence, right? So whether that's on a stage with baseball where you're on national television and you're in a dugout around a group of 26 guys, or, you're in a workspace in an office around, 20 or 30 different people, whatever it may be, but that is your sphere of influence. And I loved how he used that opportunity to be able to share the gospel and just, allowed Jesus' heart and face to be shown in his everyday life. So that was somebody that I looked up to. And if I was fortunate enough to have that opportunity to be able to, pursue that career in baseball and get deep into it and obviously ultimately get to the big leagues, that is someone that I wanted to be in the clubhouse, someone that I am in the clubhouse, and then obviously express that and show that through my actions on the field.
And then I was like, just piggybacking off that, I was gonna. So like when you obviously you got drafted, and you're in the locker room. Do other guys like are they share similar beliefs in that aspect?
It's just like any other workspace. You have your guys that you do, and you have your people that don't. It's just like the normal world.
Yeah.
um, but again, being in kind of a unique spot as it is with my career, we're for instance, season just ended, right?
Yeah.
I just got done being with that same group of people for 8 months straight. I'm around that group of guys, including staff, right? I'm around them more than I'm around my family for 8 months. So, that time that is spent together in one room, on the field, nonstop, 24/7, every single day, that plays a big part with getting to know each other. Not only that, but being able to utilize that sphere of influence in the people you're around. So, as you walk through the gospel, right, and you dig deeper into your walk with Christ, obviously it is about you being a disciple for the word and everything that you do. And it's important to have that, that quiet space and that alone time with him, which is a necessity. But even more, it's like I said a couple minutes ago, it's about showing that in your actions every single day. So when you're out there on the field and you're in the clubhouse and doing absolutely everything together, that allows you the opportunity to be able to, be instilled with that courage from the Lord, and then obviously be able to kind of voice what needs to be voiced, what you think needs to be voiced based on, very personal stuff, because everybody gets to know each other. Everybody in that locker room knows what's going on with each other. If something's going bad, something's not going right with your family, everyone's extremely close. Granted, you have your guys here and there that, guys aren't very close with, whatever the case may be. But for the majority of the case, everybody's very close with each other. So everybody knows what's going on. And so, you just use that as an opportunity to be able to share the heart of Jesus, right? You be able to share, just the way that his heart functions, the way that, that is expressed through, like I said, everyday actions, and allowing them to be able to see that. Whether it's helping them, giving them advice, and vice versa, you doing that allows you to help with your walk as well.
Yeah. And I was just so you talked about the bond you guys have in that locker room and everything. There was a point in the season where it seemed like everybody wrote off you guys, and it was right around the time a pitcher, I won't mention, obviously you got traded away, and everybody was questioning the decision. And so what was the attitude in your guys' locker room? How you guys battled adversity, got through that to a point where you pretty much, you came up a game short, but it was a hell of a run at the very end.
Yeah. Right around that time, right when Graveman got traded, it was obviously a huge shock. He was obviously a big leader in our clubhouse. He was a big part of what that bullpen had been doing up to that point in the first half. And it was obviously a shock. But at the same time, every single person in that clubhouse understands that at the end of the day, you take all feelings aside, it's a business.
Yeah.
As much as that sucks, and that's the biggest thing that a lot of people who, played baseball but has not worked their way up to, this extent in their career. When you get to, I would say everybody has the same consensus that, like, once you hit like AAA and then obviously the big leagues, you start truly understanding what that saying is of it's only and ever a business. You're literally a chess piece on a board with a GM in front office, and they have, they don't put into, hey, like, Jake's a great dude, or, Gravy's a great dude. He's got a great family. I've had a great, like, none of that stuff matters. It's a business. And you're just a chess piece that's being moved around that fits whatever mold they want to fit in that specific time. And, for whatever reason, they wanted to get rid of Gravy and send him off to Houston. And obviously we got guys back as well. They're great ball players and help contribute to the end of the year. So, it's a business. It stinks, yes. And obviously, quite a few guys expressed that once it happened and went down. But again, man, everybody talked about throughout the year the resiliency of our team, and especially that bullpen, losing someone like that. And we also lost JT Shargo out of Tampa, so that was another horse for us that we lost. That was two of our biggest horses that we lost in that bullpen. And the only thing that you have to do, right? The season doesn't stop. So you got to keep moving. And we needed guys to step up, and that's exactly what they did. And so, I mean, that was all we could ever ask for, those guys out in that bullpen, and that's exactly what they did. So we were able to move forward, and we continued with, you know, the way that we were conducting business throughout the year and in the first half, and we continued that in the second half. And like you said, we came up short one game, but you know, the future is looking really bright in Seattle, and that city's super excited for the years to come.
Jake, I want to talk a little bit about, we talked about the team, but I want to talk about you specifically, some individual plays. First of all, June 3rd, 2021, this year, in Anaheim, you hit your first home run. And I don't think people realize, like, right before you hit the home run, I went back and watched it. You had something in your eye.
Yeah.
And the trainer has to come out. You got to get some eye drops in there. Talk about, like, that feeling, getting the first one out of the way as you're circling the bases. What did that feel like?
Yeah, it was obviously a very cool moment. You don't forget it. It's no different than your first hit in the big leagues. And for me, you know, I debuted in 19. I played, like, I think it was maybe 9 games, and I had a collision with Malix, tore a ligament in my thumb, so that year ended. And then obviously 2020, the Mariners didn't really give me much of an opportunity in the big leagues. I was up for 5 days. So, you know, very little games, very little at-bats in order to get to that first home run. But a lot of stuff in between that, you know, not allowed me to be out on the field for, you know, to get it done sooner, right? So as far as on paper, like I said, wasn't a lot of games and wasn't, you know, very many at-bats. You know, it was a good chunk, but it wasn't a whole ton to get to that first home run. But mentally, it felt like, you know, forever, right? Because I debuted in 19, and then I got my first home run in 2021. So the weight felt tremendous off of my shoulders once I hit it, just from the mental side. And I don't even remember. I remember, I'm pretty sure I got down, I think 2 strikes, and something just flew in my eye in Anaheim, and I could not get it out. And, like, I couldn't even, like, open my eyelid. So then obviously at that point I was like, I don't even know what to do. So I turned around, and our trainer was already coming out, and finally the eye drops helped. I don't know, whatever it was got it out. And then I don't remember if it was one pitch or the very next pitch I got in the box. But as soon as it happened, because when you're in the box and you're playing, like, everything is like a blank space when you're hitting. But there are times where, like, stuff happens, for instance, like that, where something gets in your eye, or I don't know, like they got to stop the game because someone threw something on the field or something. And you have, like, that split moment of, like, where you almost come out of it. And, like, when that happened with my eye, I'm sitting there and he's taking my eye, and I'm like, damn, dude, I got freaking 2 strikes right now. Like, your mind starts immediately racing. And so, like, it's like that age-old saying that, like, when you hit a ball, when you crush a ball down the line and you don't know if it's going to be fair or foul, do not touch first base. Because if you touch first base, you're going to be out. You're out. You're done. You're either going to strike out, ground out, pop out. Something's going to happen. You're not getting a hit. So it's kind of like that, where it's like you get to 2 strikes, and it's like if something happens and brings you out of, like, that blank space that you're in, it's like, God, I'm screwed now. I'm done.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there, he's taking it out of my eye, and I'm like, oh, my Lord, like, my mind starts getting to that space again, and I'm like, gosh, I got to freaking, like, try to get myself back into, like, that, you know, that mental zone. And I guess I don't remember if it was the one pitch after that or the very next pitch when I got in the box, but he gave me one right down the middle. It was a cutter canning, and I was able to get the barrel to it.
And then we also got to talk about, less than a week later, you're in Detroit. The play in it's the bottom of the 9th, tie game. Isaac Paredes is up. What do you remember? You go back, you make a game-saving catch. What do you remember about that player? What do you remember the ball jumping off the bat there, and just your, I guess, instincts there?
Yeah, well, we had good positioning because I know Paredes. I played against him. So, I mean, I was aware of kind of like him, and it was cool because he actually just got called up for that series. It was his first time in the big leagues, and he was hitting the ball really well. And so I knew Paredes, right? So I had a good idea. I had, very good positioning on where I wanted to be. And obviously I was playing deeper because of the situation, and then being home. And so when he hit it, obviously you knew he crushed it, right? So I was immediately going back. But because I was already so close to the fence, it's, you have a lot more, comfort going back like that. You don't have to kind of keep checking. So I was able to keep my eye on the ball the whole time because I already knew where I was. And I got back to the fence super quick. And at that point, when it came off the bat, it was, he got it, but it was more of like a line drive, right? It didn't have 30 launch angle on it. Like, you have no chance. So I didn't know if I was going to have a chance. And as it, got out there quick because he crushed it so good, I was like, damn, I might have a chance. So as soon as I got back, before I could even think about I can time this, I had to jump because he hit it so hard. And as soon as I jumped, I timed it perfect, and my glove stayed on my hand. Because not a lot of times with those balls, especially when they're hit that hard and the way that I went into the fence, a lot of times the ball goes in the glove, and then as that wrist kind of goes back, the ball will flip out, or even worse, your glove will fall off your hand. So everything went the way that I wanted it to, I needed it to, and it worked out.
No doubt. Awesome play. And then the last question for me, at least, the off season, we're a couple weeks in. Any big plans the rest of the off season, or big trips planned or anything like that?
Well, like I said, I spend more time away from my family during the season. So right now it's all family time. So we got we got quite a few vacations planned. A lot of plans to go see a couple friends that, obviously, we can't see during the season. And then obviously going back to visit my family back home in the Northeast. But other than that, just trying to take advantage of, the time that we do have in the off season here, and just trying to make as many trips as possible. So we actually got one coming up in 2 days that we're leaving for. And that'll be the first one. So we're excited about that.
That's awesome. And the last question I have, are you satisfied with your MLB The Show rating?
To be honest with you, I have no idea what it is. I think it's around.
I think it's like 75, somewhere around that range. I was playing with the Mariners the other day. I was like, oh, there he is. So yeah. I know Amir Garrett we cheer for the Reds, obviously. Amir Garrett's very vocal about how he wants his to go up so much. So.
Yeah. No, I mean, if it's 75, I'm perfectly fine with that, because this was my first full year in the big leagues. So you build a foundation and you build off of that. So
there we go. Well, Jake Fraley, thank you so much for joining us, man. This is awesome.
Yeah. Thanks so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Have a good one, buddy.
Yep, you too.